Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PCS. My name is Asterix. I'm joined by Nightstar here for our second last day of the regular season, at least before we get towards tiebreakers. Remember, CDBC Bank and Caliber are the official sponsors. We also want to thank Riot Games Carry Live and Garena for the league operation and full production of this broadcast as well. Now, we just came off the back, sir, of a pretty long extended win by MFT. We're now going into another middle-of-the-pack battle. Impunity versus Frank Esports, two teams that are pretty close, relatively in the standings, and that matters so much with a win here.
Yeah, it's actually very critical. With a win, Frank Esports would guarantee themselves at least a tiebreaker for the 6th seed, whereas on the flip side, for Impunity, even if they win, things aren't necessarily guaranteed for them to climb the ladder, but it would set them up to perhaps force a 3-way tiebreak for that 6th slot.
True, which is a big deal, right? We know that 7th and 8th down in that lower bracket, as well as in that top side, the 4 outside of 1st and 2nd, starting with another chance. Have I got that right, Nightstar? Have I hit the nail on the head for this one? Am I correct?
Yeah, 7th and 8th do start in the lower bracket, which is definitely not where you want to see yourself. It's still possible to make the dream run, right? But you don't get that second life, and that's always going to make things a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it's the, without you playing in the double E-Live, so kind of unfortunate for those teams. So that's why it matters so much coming through here for Impunity. Again, at least the potential to get that tiebreaker. But for Frank Esports, they're coming off the back of a pretty big win. Yesterday against DCG, this team nailed them, and it kind of came off the back of bottom lane. Like, Eminem got so fed on this Xayah. And again, like, this team relying on this AD carry, who's a bit of a star.
Yeah, and Eminem really showcasing his prowess down in that bottom lane yesterday. And for Impunity, you would have to say their most consistent lane has been Blaze. Pinway's a little bit hit or miss, but Blaze will bring the damage that they typically do require from him. So Jinx will certainly be a priority for Blaze, but at the same time, Eminem's shown that he can play the Xayah to great effect. So perhaps maybe a Xayah ban coming in from the first phase.
Yeah, it makes sense after how well, again, he did yesterday. So kind of excited for the AD carry pool. Running into 12.5, like, options are opening up a little bit. Jinx still there as a priority, as you were saying, with the range discrepancy or the range change, but we're still looking at a larger champion pool because of it. And it feels like for Frank Esports, champion pool's never really been an issue. Like, even talking about Pretender for a second, I think this guy's been so consistent. I know it's someone that Clement's really big on, and watching Pretender enhance himself during the split has also been a bit of a lesson for some of these teams.
Yeah, he started out with the Victors. Didn't have great impact on those, but once you got him off of the stationary control mages and got him moving around, that's where he really started to shine. But our highlight matchup will be Eminem and Blaze, two players who have been really the big DPS champions for their squad.
Importantly enough as well, I love that little champion overlay. The champions that have been played at the moment by these guys are very similar. You're talking about things like the Xayah, recently 2-0, 2-0 here for Blaze as well. And we have Aphelios, we have Jinx, like the standard AD carry picks. So nothing out of the ordinary, but it is the carry potential and the attention that Frank Esports put down in this bottom lane. They love camping this guy's lane, and they know that they're going to get a consistent carry here, so it is just about what champion he gets through here, Nightstar. As we run into pick and ban with Frank Esports on blue, Impunity on red. And so far, no AD bans. Instead, we're just getting the OPs out of the way.
Yeah, for FAK Esports, they actually allocate 2 bans up towards that top side. Quiet has played the Gwen and the Tryndamere to great effect. And for FAK Esports, they've really adapted their draft to just be like, hey, Kurt, you're just going to take a blind pick top laner and hopefully you'll be fine. We're playing weak side top, and we're just going to focus our resources down into that bottom lane. So that's kind of why you see these bans come out from the side of FAK Esports, is that they want to prioritize an AD carry on this first pick. And with the Tahm Kench removed, it can perhaps show that they're not really focused on locking down the Jinx for the first pick, although it is still left available here.
I remember a lot of teams have a lot of availability and what to pair it with, so I wonder if that's really the case here for FAK Esports. K2 getting an early Nautilus instead. Feeling pretty confident with the AD pool available.
Looking to just go straight on to the Nautilus. He looked fantastic yesterday on this pick, really hitting pretty much every single hook. And Impunity, they'll be the ones to go ahead, lock themselves in the Xayah early on. Of course, we have seen the crit version yesterday. I believe Shun played it, so we've seen both versions of Xayah. And for Impunity, they'll go ahead, lock in the Rakan perhaps, but because of the early lock-in of the AD carry and the support, it does mean that most likely you're looking for a jungler here for the side of Impunity on 3.
Yeah, we still have things like the Hecarim up and available, Lee Sin, Xin Zhao. There's a lot there. Wondering if this is going to be the take. Kai'Sa has been coming through, and I know that you were telling me you guys have actually also played it towards the mid lane.
Yeah, the mid lane Kai'Sa did come out here, but I wouldn't expect the early Kai'Sa pick, just because, again, the Kai'Sa is still really bad in lane. It's really just about getting your core items and hitting, once you hit those item breakpoints, that's when you really start becoming just a completely different champion altogether. But we'll see what they lock in here on 3 as they go ahead, lock in the Gnar, of course. Gnar has been really Kurt's go-to blind pick top laner, and while he's had mixed results, it is one of those blind pick top laners that you can take and just kind of get through the lane phase and hopefully hit that team fight phase.
It's just such a strange draft so far. We get the Kai'Sa eventually. We get a lot of dive from both angles. Sylas as well would be a very different direction. Jungler's completely foregone. Is not something we normally talk about. Now, the Lee Sin here does bring it back to reality, which means that Impunity have a strong couple of picks to open up this first phase.
I would expect Impunity to go ahead, pinch the jungle pool here. It's going to be very difficult to try and lock down Pretender's pool unless if you want to take away something like the Vex, but you want to deny the jungle picks from Hollow. The Zin's still left available here. The Hecarim is still left available. They can only take away one of those. And for FAK Esports, you're trying to make sure probably more top laners get taken away from Quiet. So making things as good as possible for Kurt in this top lane, but it does feel bad to kind of blinds pick a top laner and then chuck 4 bans possibly at that top lane matchup.
Yeah, we have to see what the final ban would be. Something like the Jace still open. Now I know that you guys have shied away from Jace, but has been the go-to against the Gnar more often than not. But you're right on the Impunity train. Double jungle ban here against Hollow. Hecarim left open and available though when we see so much dive and so much all in. I'm kind of curious to see this game because right now the drafts are hitting some similar points. It's about how those side lanes differ up a little bit here. We get the Sylas banned away from Faith in the end, so now we're going to see what he wants is a blind mid.
Right now it seems like they might want to look for something like a Galio Hecarim combination or a Rise Hecarim combination coming in from FAK Esports, as both of those are left available. Diarelia would be a matchup that can do very well into the Gnar. Also potentially a flex into the mid lane. I don't expect Faith to be a Irelia player, but if the matchup presents itself, it certainly could go there.
Yeah, we'll have to see for now. At the very least, I have to correct myself. Yeah, the blind top here when Na's already on the table makes sense. Get yourself the counter when you find out what's actually going through mid. Hecarim still left open, but Hollow doesn't want to pick a J4 instead. Just an interesting pick and ban phase, honestly. Like, we know that Hollow plays Hecarim. Jarvan, only a couple of games, 100% win rate worth mentioning, but maybe more about that all-in, that dive ability still continues.
Yeah, I think it's really just about targeting the Xayah pick, right? Because J4 can ult the Xayah, and even if Xayah goes immune with the Featherstorm, you're still stuck in the pit. Whereas you can dodge out on the damage coming in from the Hecarim, and you can get yourself into a safer position against the onslaught of Shadow. So I think it's just a little bit more outplay potential, but the Galio's still left available here. This is what I've been talking about. Like, PCS has really gotten onto the Galio train as of late, and it really fits a lot of these mid lane players who aren't necessarily super strong in lane, but it again allows you to cheat priority. Your waves don't have to be perfectly set up for you to make these roams, whether it's with the Predator or with that ultimate.
And so it makes sense with how Impunity are going with their comp direction, right? What we have is we have Galio, Xayah, Rakan, Aurelia, like things that can dive in, make amazing sieges. Like, we have a lot of melee range, but it doesn't matter with the gap flows available. Nightstar feels like for Impunity here, this comp is very synergistic with how it wants to act at the level 6 point especially.
Yeah, I actually like the look of Impunity's composition just a little bit more. And you have a lot more counterpunch capabilities with the Rakan, with the Galio. So you can really turn any errant engage from the side of Frank Esports. But for them, it's really all about the Gnar ultimate into the Cataclysm, or just the synergy between those two. And if those teamfight ultimates land, that's a lot of snowball potential offered to them, but at the same time, it feels like they're very contingent on those on that particular wombo, because again, their lane phase can be a little bit of a struggle here, because you have kill pressure up top lane, you have really good laning phase coming in from the Xayah Rakan against something like a Kai'Sa who's still weak in lane.
Well, yeah, I'll kind of be interested to see how it goes in the 2v2. We do have Frank Esports, who have just come out with something out of left field, I'll say. Impunity, the question's going to be about whether this team can pull it all together as well. Two compositions that have similar aspects, but again, comes down to what we see in mid. Let's see when level 6 hits, what lanes are going to be hit. Welcome to Frank Esports and Impunity, a matchup that is going to be determined by, or at least should be determining, who is going into that upper echelon. Remember, 6th, 7th, and 8th right now kind of being fought for, especially that 6th position. 7th and 8th into the lower bracket, they will not get a second chance. But if you get 6th, where Frank Esports are currently holding, then you're in for such a good shot. Meta Falcon team just picked up a win, but Frank Esports, if they could do that here, they give themselves a bit of leeway in a split that is hitting the end of its dates. We only have today and tomorrow before the PCS finishes up. And then, of course, if any tiebreakers come through. So a couple more days left, and I'm glad we're getting a taster of 12.5 here and how things are actually changing. Things like Zeri going all the way through the draft. Jinx, not touched. Aphelios, not touched. We're looking at mid laners as well, and like, you know, we have truly strived away from the Victors and the Corkies in the past couple of patches. We are getting into a more globalized meta with Ryze and Galio especially dominating the PCS. It's nice to see. It'll be nice to see how it comes together here in our second game of the night.
Yeah, we're going to see lethality Xayah come through with the Aerie picked up here for Blaze, and I'm interested to see what Eminem goes for with his build. Could be an AD Kai'Sa, but also could be an AP version.
Good little dredge line here. Taco might have to flash
Doesn't
away.
have the escape.
Oh my god. Well, there goes Impunity's early game.
I didn't see that. What happened?
Unfortunately, we all did. Taco decided it was time to flash a wall. Well, which taco's better? People have been asking the question all split long. We might have our answer.
Taco not off to a good start here on the Lee Sin. Of course, he took Q start off. You definitely don't take W in most cases, and ends up taking a loss there. That's a really nice start for Hollow as he gets himself that extra 400, and Pretender off to a great start here against the Galio, trying to zone away as much as possible. It is Predator, and Pretender also going for the Conqueror on the rise. We've seen him play this once before. He went for the Seraph's second item, of course, adds a little bit extra damage and sustainability, and it's really just trying to capitalize on those two synergies to last as long as possible in these fights. However, he doesn't have mobility coming in from a phase rush.
I want to come back to Taco for a second. Just to the Lee Sins we've seen commonly, W is an option to take at level 1. The sustain's there. You often start solo camps as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, Taco taking Q as the lane's already started. This is why you don't level up your abilities that early on. So, really unfortunate. And we have to kind of look at what happens to his jungle camps, what happens to the game. Hollow picked up First Blood, picked up a bit of an experience lead. He's level 3. Taco the same, but as he tries to gank mid, look at what's happening. A deep ward placed by Quiet, but Hollow's already on the other side of the map, taking away the solo buff, and Pretender's playing towards his side of the map.
Oh, good flash.
Good response. Good response here. It's flash for flash in the mid lane. Taco now spotted out.
They don't know where Hollow is.
They're trying to think about whether they start the Raptor camp, though.
Oh, okay. Now they're going to get information here, and it's going to be a fight for Raptors that Hollow just goes ahead, smites away. So it will mean Taco, of course, has his own flash for when Scuttle, or not flash, but smite for Scuttle if he wants to try and contest that.
Yeah, definitely not flash.
But
he ain't getting that.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see the level 1.
Well, unfortunately, I have to use my eyes here, and I got to let everyone know I saw it because Taco, as he clears up towards the top side, that flashless Lee Sin, we'll see if anything can come of it because Hollow just picked up topside Scuttle, clearing down for now. Spotted on vision, but still going to have a bit of tempo lead here. Double Scuttle as an opportunity, depending on where Taco goes next. And he wants to gank mid once more. Pretender's flash burned. Trying to use that as an ample opportunity, but just comes through, adds a bit of influence, and heads to bot to trade off.
Yeah, and you are free to burn your flash like that if you are the Galio, because again, you are running the Predator, so that can make up some of that distance and trying to gap close onto a rise and set up for ganks. And so as of now, it's really just that first blood gold being the difference maker. As we do see bot lane is getting shoved in. It probably won't be a dive since it is Rakan early on, and he is a bit of a squishier support to try and pull dice off with.
Yeah, especially with Hollow nearby as well. Just going to get the remnants of his Krugs as Taco finally gets something back in this game. Nice dredge line here with Jungler nearby. Pinway takes a second skin to the full proc. M&M just holding off. Hollow still moving in. They know he's down here. This is greedy from Impunity. Their bottom lane burns one flash. Pinway here, the dredge line again. They should not be dying. Hollow was just spotted out. What was that?
That is what I believe is called a head scratcher.
Yep. Unfortunate. Maybe thinking that, okay, Frank Esports, no, Taco's also down here, but he hopped on over the wall, and he really wasn't going to retrace his steps on that one. So, yeah, definitely a head scratcher, nicely said. And now Eminem picks up a kill in the lane that we were questioning a lot about. A 1k gold lead for Frank Esports this early on.
Yeah, and while Blaze is still able to go back, get the Serrated Dirk spike along with the tier combination. At the very least, Eminem will have somewhat matching items in that regard. Also has the bonus long sword. Still, advantage goes to Blaze at the moment, but Xayah, when you play her the lethality style, you have to get so much out of the lane phase. It is about snowballing that lane phase into the mid game rather than playing to scale up here. And while there is some decent dive that you can kind of play around for this Xayah, if this ends up being AP Kaisa, once this Kaisa hits 3 items, it's so annoying to play against.
Ooh, little stun coming
Level
through.
6.
In the top lane. He doesn't have 6 though. The Aurelia is down and definitely out. Gets a kill. Taco comes in late. And Frank Esports 3-0 to the party when Impunity with a team that we were waiting for action to happen.
Yeah, if you look at these compositions, it's really about the mid-game spike coming in from the Wombo with these ultimates from Impunity. And right now, Frank Esports, like if this continues, they can just continue to flex their individual laning muscles because they've got ways to attack these side lanes now that you have an advantage up in that top side, you have an advantage down in that bottom side. Pretender, his roams are going to be that much better than Face.
Yeah, I mean, at this point as well, since the laning phase is going back in Pretender's favor, Frank Esports are using that opportunity to threaten bot. Pinway and Blaze have to pay the respect. That gives more space to Eminem and K2 once again. Hollow spotted out bot side, so now Taco waits for his play through mid. Flash timing, really nice here from the Impunity jungler, but Pretender has another 15 seconds to play with, and the wave is in an awkward spot.
Pretender walking up there. If he gets past that minion, maybe they look to try and aggress upon him. But it will get turned off, and now they're turning their attention to a dive top lane. So Kurt's probably dead here.
Well, it depends. Mega Gnar is up and available. He doesn't have the flash available. We're looking at the dredge line in the bottom lane. The Kaisa coming through. We do get AD here with the lethality already picked up. And straight away, Eminem is having a better laning phase. Topside dive is negated. It's Herald started here from Impunity as... Oh, wait. Pause. Okay. Taco has become one with the wall. Yes, that's an obvious pause. What the heck? What League of Legends? What was that?
That was fantastic. I've never seen that, but that's for sure going to be a, well, not a remake, but it would be a Chrono Break.
It's it's definitely not continuing. I don't know how he gets out of the wall. What?
If that happens in a regular League of Legends game, do you just die?
I don't
You're
know.
just stuck there until you die.
You rage quit. You probably alt F4, and then Riot sends you a notice saying, "Don't leave games again," and you go, "Oh my god!
Oh my lord!" That's actually really entertaining. But no doubt it's going to be a bit of an extended break. So guys, you guys are just stuck with the Hysterics Nightstar podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be going on for a while. That's an obvious one. It's rare that you see something like this on stream. Like, that is crazy. Kind of, you know, I wish we could replay this. Kind of worth another look, but I didn't even know that was a thing. There's a lot of bugs. If anyone doesn't know, we get a list of bugs as casters. I don't remember that being one. I do not remember that being one, dude.
You cannot play Lee Sin when walls exist.
Yeah.
It's just, unfortunately, you can't do it anymore. So, I mean, there are a couple fun ones in the bugs list, but certainly Taco bugged out on that one.
Yeah.
So
that's a nice way to say it. He definitely hoping to get more damage down than he did. So he got stuck midway. We'll find out what a solution is to that for you guys. Just a crazy situation. I love how even the observer zoomed in on it and was like, hang on a minute.
What's going on here?
Hang on a minute. Yeah, we'll find out what's going on. But, you know, honestly, let's be real. We won't comment on whether it's a Chrono Break or anything for now, but there needs to be something done.
I mean,
needs to be something done.
Hysterics, it's just a classic jungler situation, right? You have your side lanes are losing hard, and you're just trying to bash your head into a wall. So what do? Your head got stuck in the wall now.
Yeah, huge question mark. So what we do know is that the Frank Esports in this game, they've completely taken over due to a couple of mistakes coming through. Like, it was early first blood, the failed flash from Taco, and And like, what else do we get? We got flash burnt by mid by Taco, top side as well. The gank coming through on top of Quiet. Like, all lanes were falling down. Even in the bottom lane, a gank from Hollow went
through vision.
Yeah, through vision. They saw him at Krugs, and that's just kind of the weird thing here from Impunity. Like, mistakes that shouldn't be made.
Yeah, and we've seen this a number of times coming in from Impunity in the fact that they can make some nice macro plays, but when it comes to some of these smaller movements, they can fumble pretty hard, and they've been really damning mistakes as well.
Again, showing why they're the 8th place team at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, though, we are going to have a break while this gets deliberated on. Asterix Nightstar with you. We'll be back with you when we come back from this.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
Waiting to try and get a gank off down in or up at the top. Meanwhile, down in the bottom, Criscata rarely left on his own, but he might still be able to get a 1v2. Look at Blaze already going down on the last hit after the Moonlight Vigil. This Jace starting to push pretty heavily. I don't think Quiet's really been able to find the answer against him as he goes to the skies again. Still the level advantage.
This is a good
Does
opportunity.
Get pinballed. That was really good there. Yes. But Quiet is going to get knocked away. Oh, into the flash dash.
Over to Impunity. Forces ICU here, and Bank 2. Whoa, flash over the wall into the kill onto Blaze. Doesn't even need his support. And how flashes. Absolutely massive. Allows them to know the exact timing of people coming down the ramp here, but they're not able to hold it, and the fight starts.
Engage from Kaiwing. Oh, that's huge burst right now. Do they have enough damage? Enzo is going to go into stasis. Driver, though, dropped Lilvi as well. Massive damage as Unified. Don't look cool. Driver's caught, but I don't know if it's going to matter here. He's got a massive level advantage on everybody.
He
no,
just
and World Ender. Yeah, he did. And they're all 5 on top of him while the Baron is going. If he still gets these kills, I'm telling you. Now, the screen's a little frozen for me right now, but I tagged right back just in time. And Driver is still alive. They shut him down.
Okay, do it.
Going in for round 2. Deletes one. Goodbye, Clayx. Gonna try to find
no,
Vilna.
he missed.
I did miss the second, so unfortunately can't get that one, but he's going to take down Lazar. Looking for the quadra kill on his own right now. Oh, E-Boy on to Shiramania. The flash, the triple. Will Kongyan be the scumbag and steal?
Oh, they don't have CC.
He's out.
The difference between medicine and poison is the dosage. Allow me to demonstrate. Ah, my favorite part of the job. Product testing. Oh, I love it. Now! Die for me. I don't need to get my hands dirty. Oh, but I do enjoy it. Kill them and suffer! Work for me or work against me. Doesn't matter. Everyone comes to my side eventually. I bankrolled your pistol's makers, Samira. Those guns are mine by right. Step aside, worm. Don't think, just do. Get over here. Remember who helped you in your hour of need. Never cross Renata Glask. We don't have to be enemies. Let me change your mind. Progress. Competition is for the weak. I dominate. It's Ms. Glask, if you value your life.
Renata Glask climbed her way from rags to Chemtech riches, becoming the most powerful Chem Baron in Zon. Now her eyes are set on Piltover, and as a master of persuasion, she knows exactly how to get what she wants.
It's just business.
She's a proactive enchanter who weaves both sides of the battlefield to her command. But whose side is she really on? Her own, of course.
I'll make you kill your loved ones is a more effective threat than any gun.
Welcome to the Renata Glask Champion Spotlight.
We don't have to be enemies. Let me change your mind.
This boss is used to having the upper hand thanks to her passive Leverage. Her basic attacks apply a mark that deals bonus damage, which her allies can detonate, dealing even more damage.
I'll make a killing off of this.
Like any business deal, be sure to choose your targets wisely. Only one can be marked at a time. Her Q, Handshake, sends out a missile that damages and roots the first enemy hit. She can then recast the ability to nudge her competitor in the right direction, which is, of course, whatever direction she chooses. The Hapless Fool damages all enemies hit, and if she throws a champion, those enemies are also stunned.
I said jump!
Put her there! Renata Glask's always willing to lend a hand so long as there's interest. Bailout buffs an ally with increased attack speed and movement speed toward enemies.
You're welcome.
Allies who manage to kill an enemy during the buff will reset its duration.
High-class Chemtech.
If her investment would die while buffed, Bailout grants her ally a fresh, full health bar that quickly decays before finally dying. However, allies that get kills or assists in this decaying state heal and stop the decay, saving their life. This health bar reset won't interrupt channels or abilities, as they don't die just yet, so teammates at Death's Door can take full advantage of Renata Glask's incentives.
Remember who helped you in your hour of need.
With her E loyalty program, Renata Glask fires a missile that detonates at the end of its path, damaging and slowing all enemies encountered.
Your value's dropped.
Similarly, allies affected by this missile receive a shield. Better sign up, this deal won't last forever.
I'm a giver.
With her ultimate, Hostile Takeover, Renata Glask sends out a cloud of toxic chemicals. Enemies caught in the fumes succumb to her influence and go berserk. While berserk, their attack speed increases and they'll attack the closest target, starting with their own teammates.
Don't think, just do.
If other enemies aren't around, they'll go up the chain of command, starting with Renata Glask's allies and ending with herself. Everybody wants to be my enemy. In the early game, Renata Glass should rely on leverage to punish poor positioning and help her business, lane partner, win trades.
Make them pay.
Create opportunities for kills with slows, roots, and pulls that dominate the market. If you chain your CC, you'll win the fight before it's even begun.
Ready to take control.
Teammates need a bailout? No problem. Rescue your assets at the right time, and you can always turn a fight around.
A worthy investment.
But stay away from risky investments. For what Renata Glass boasts in Engage, she lacks in mobility and escapes. So wait for the right moment to secure the deal, and you can watch Renata Glass's enemies destroy themselves.
Time to make some new business partners.
Set up plays for your team with opportune buffs, shields, and roots. And when they've succeeded, make sure you take all the credit.
I'll bill you later.
Don't underestimate the pull of Renata Glass. One way or another, you'll be working for her eventually. Ready to invest in the Cam Baroness? Check out the links below.
Ambition isn't greed.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.
Waiting to try and get a gank off down in, or up at the top. Meanwhile, it's down in the bottom. Kriscana rarely left on his own, but he might still be able to get a 1v2. Look at Blaze already going down on the last hit after the Moonlight Vigil. This Jace starting to push pretty heavily. I don't think Quiet's really been able to find the answer against him as he goes to the skies again. Still the level advantage.
This is a good
Does
opportunity.
Get pinballed. That was really good there. But Quiet is going to get knocked away. Oh, into the flash dash.
Over to Impunity. Forces ICU here, and Bank 2. Whoa, flash over.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the game. We're here with Impunity and Frank Esports. If you're wondering what just happened, Taco got stuck in a wall during Rift Herald. And I've never seen anything like Nightstar here with me. I had to tweet it out, of course. It was just crazy, him becoming one with the wall. And more importantly, what we saw was a little bit of a chrono break to get him out of the wall. So Nightstar, we are back in the game. Normality has hit us, and we carry on.
Yeah, we're back in. And for Frank Esports, they will go ahead trade the Dragon for that first Rift Herald.
Yep.
And I'm really keen to see where they put this first Rift Herald because of the fact that both side lanes are in a bit of a deficit. And now it looks like they're going to try and take advantage of this missing jungler to try and get a kill onto Kurt and hopefully crack that first tower.
Okay, we'll see, but he's in Mega Knight, sort of worried about before the Vanguard Edge comes through, the kickback as well against the wall, but Kurt can't move. Nicely done from Impunity as we head back into this game.
Yeah, and the big thing is it only ends up being a kill, right? Because they weren't able to get any of the plates afterwards. They weren't able to put down the Rift Herald because of how fast the response was coming in from Frank Esports. So all in all, Kurt really, he ends up dying there, but that's really the only consequence. And the kill goes on to a Galio who is down 20 CS. So the Galio, it's not like he's getting propelled ahead all of a sudden because that kill only makes up for the difference in the CS he's been missing. Yep. And that also doesn't make up the EXP gap still.
Yeah, the early game that before we saw that little chrono break come through, that Impunity was struggling to hold on to. And it was by their doing, right? Taco with the face, I was going to say fake flash. No, the bad
fail flash.
The failed flash was the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Nightstar. Blaze and Pinway getting caught out on vision when Hollow was, very obvious. And there were mistakes in this early game that Impunity made themselves. Trying to rectify that here is with the Rift Herald, Taco wants to elevate the game back to where it maybe should have been.
And they're going to have Faith hovering down in the spot side as well. So a lot of pressure being applied down in this bottom lane. And that's going to help Impunity start evening things out again. As the big power point, of course, is going to be that Irelia up in the top side, up 40 CS. So definitely a big power point, given the fact that Kurt has had to give away a lot of CS in just either staying alive on the first dive threaten, or just seeing 2 waves when he did die.
Yeah, I mean, like, Kurt being down 30 CS, further to your point, it's kind of massive. Like, for Impunity, a wave to play through, a lane to play through, I should say. What we saw in last game, where Hurricane Gaming had the Aurelia top, was that the Aurelia really failed after opening up the first turret to do much. Here for Quiet, a lot more options, it feels like, as he forces the flash from Kurt. Impunity, nowhere to place their cards and continue hovering top.
And it's 4 people up in this top side too. If Hollow goes over the wall, like, he's in for a bad time. So I like them tempering, playing a little bit more tempered here from the side of Frank Esports, and it looks like we're gonna have a 5v5 top side.
I mean, everything's just been left in the bottom lane. Mid's been pushed. Eminem's gonna match that. Herald opens up top, but Frank, what the response play? And yeah, I guess we're either going to fight or we're going to walk away. Quiet gets a stun down, but Impunity is still here as a 4-stack. Like, the commitment to make sure they're ready.
It looked like we were getting ready for a bit of an ARAM play, but now it looks like we're going to have a little bit more macro getting played around here. A bit of a ring around the rosy from the side of Frank Esports. They get themselves 2 plates in that mid lane and go ahead back off. And Impunity back towards this Irelia, which is what we didn't get to see in the previous game, where ICU, yes, he got ahead, but it really became about everyone else in that game rather than the Irelia. And he also mis-executed in the first couple of team fights. So that will be the key point to watch from Quiet when he enters that first team fight.
But it's going to be about how they can elevate it further. Now the inner turret, Taco wants to make this a dive. Faith is coming into Hero's entrance once again. No Mega Naba, Impunity. Their game plan is so slick this time around. Frank Esports still haven't picked up their first turret in response.
Yeah, they're actually going to get this tier 2 top lane tower, which is really, really nice coming in from Impunity, being able to just get extra gold investment. Pinway
Not dead.
Final tick just survives. And Eminem, he will get solo right before the plate gold falls off. So actually a really nice secure coming in from Eminem, and Frank Esports, they also will get the second dragon, easy peasy. And for the side of Impunity, what do you do now? That's the real question, because you've broken 2 towers up in that top side. It's very hard to just have your Irelia continue to just hard push that top side now because of how long that lane is going to be. But Hex Gates could potentially make it easier just because of how fast you can rotate to help cover.
True. I mean, get a bit of mobility, but for now, Impunity are committing 4 members again to the top lane in front of Herald. Kurt's going to get the shove out, but nothing more, and still scared to be anywhere near River on this map. But you can see the rest of the map for Frank Esports are doing work with it. So while Quiet is picking up individual gold, while the Herald offers another avenue here for Taco as he wants to double down on top of Kurt, Pretender and Eminem are getting so far ahead. And that's why gold's still even here. There's a double dragon. And so it's really going to come down to whether Quiet can carry this game, or if the 50 CS advantage rise in the mid lane, or the 10 CS with now Manamune close to getting his second item, Eminem, will be enough to balance the favor back to Frank Esports' way.
Yeah, and with the build path coming in from Eminem, it looks like we're going to see the Manamune into the Nashers, and then either into a Crown or a Ludens. Really depends how he wants to take it. The crown would give him a little bit more survivability against something like the Irelia Galio composition. They don't exactly have a whole lot of range to proc the crown onto him as well. Or if he just thinks he's going to be safe enough by himself, he can just maximize his damage output by going for the Luden's poke build here. And then the Dirk is just kind of sitting there. Eventually it will get exchanged out for something else. But that is going to be the build path for those unfamiliar with the AP Kai'Sa.
We'll engage. Dredge line comes through from K2. We're trying to play around mid here for Frank Esports. A Dragon is not up and available, so I guess they're just hovering for now. Further to your little chat about build pathing, in the LPL, we've seen a couple of Kaisers go Blade of the Ruined King. It's super rare. It's very niche. Taco, wait.
Go.
Okie dokie. Yeah, just playing with fire. But further to the point, I mean, Blade of the Ruined King is still there as an option, however unlikely for the Kaisers of the PCS. Just thought I'd worth mentioning here with the comp he's going up against, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, I want to talk about Taco's Rift Herald here, Nightstar, because he came bot for a reason.
Yeah, he wants to go ahead, toss it down. I was actually thinking that they would try and throw it up in that top side. If they find one more dive onto Kurt, they could essentially just break an inhib at 18 or 19 minutes into the game, which would set themselves up really nicely to just apply a whole lot of minion pressure to then go and look for a Baron at 20 minutes. But that doesn't look to be their play here, as they'll just put both of their solo laners that are very, very behind up in that top lane to recoup whatever they can get. And I think, honestly, Faith is the one that's going to end up coming out ahead, because Kurt, even though it's the weak link in the Galio, he's doing magic damage, and the amount of stats that Kurt has invested into is just armor, which is not magic resistance.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be able to deal with him, you're right. So Faith's going to have a good time in the 1v1, at least for now. But I'm more curious to see what happens around the next couple of Dragons. The Baron as well, that'll be spawning in a couple of minutes, because we have those ultimates that still haven't been used. Faith has hit it down on Kurt one time in the top side, but Pretender hasn't realm warped. We haven't seen these semi-global plays looking to find picks for both teams.
Yeah, and even though Frank Esports have 2 dragons to their name, almost thought there was going to be something happening there, because you don't have your power spike onto your Kai'Sa, you might be a little bit more reserved when it comes to approaching these next couple of fights. K2 is just out in no man's land.
Yeah, by himself. Not sure why he's here. The flash Everfrost, the flash shield of Duran, but the knock-up. Faith not too deep, in fact, right where he wants to be. Herald put down mid while Tucker wants to go all in and quickly goes against it, opening up the mid lane. Now the priority for Impunity as this game takes a turn. 1,000 plus going to be the lead with mid turret going down, and after that pause, Impunity have just come back with fire.
That extra free time to reconsider what's going on seems to have helped them quite a bit. And Impunity have made the proper mental reset and come out swinging in this post-Chrono Break part of the game. They will also get themselves this next dragon, as kind of expected when you do lose mid, and you also aren't hitting your item breakpoints on your really biggest carry here in the AP Kai'Sa. Now has the Nashers completed though, so that will help her efforts out quite a bit, but we need to see the third item. Once the Mythic comes online, that's when things get real interactive for Impunity.
Yeah, waiting for that Mythic you talked about before. Kurt could be in trouble, but luckily he's going to back away in time. Otherwise, Impunity were ready to kill him again. Yeah, so Stridebreaker picked up, and with everyone jumping onto him, I guess it makes a hell of a lot of sense this game.
Yeah, not opting for the Hullbreaker, which we've still seen, even though it is the nerfed version. Gnar, still one of those champions that can use it, even in mini Gnar. It's still pretty good stats, and you get full value out of it once you do turn Mega. But given how far behind he is, he's opted to just go straight for the Mythic Rush instead. And we'll see how it ends up playing out. The extra move speed on the Mythic passive is going to help out just a little bit as well.
Yeah, I feel like at the very least, maybe with that item, he feels a bit more comfortable in this game. But Quiet now with 2, the most fed part of Impunity. We've got a team that is still fighting to hit tiebreakers, to hit a decent position, not be in that lower bracket. And for Impunity, this is a really good sign. Again, the early game was botched, but they've got a lot more direction now as we kind of get towards that solid mid-game state with another turret going down 4-2 here, still in favor of Impunity.
Yeah, and we're going to see a different approach coming in from Quiet, actually going in for the shield bow instead of the Gore Drinker. Of course, there are a lot more ranged champions on the side of Frank Esports, so it does make a little bit more sense and also a better 1v1 build against the Gnar, having that extra sustain here. And, okay.
2-level difference here in the 1v1. Everfrost has already come through, but Pretender still feeling comfortable.
Here's the squad.
Until Pinway comes over the wall with the quickness, and Blaze will be there too. This is easily done. Realm Warp not in time, and 3 versus 1 takes the job down as Tucker gets hit on the other side, but Eminem not willing to follow up.
Yeah, perhaps would have looked for an opening there if he landed that second W, but unfortunately he doesn't land it, and Pretender just gets caught out essentially for free. Over pushes and gets caught out, gets punished for it. And for the side of Frank Esports, again, this composition is really waiting for its items. Once you get that Frozen Heart online for Pretender, he's going to get a lot of value in this game. And once you get that third item built up onto the Kaisa, that's when she really starts playing the game as well. For the side of Impunity, this is very much a PowerPoint for them, and they're going to try and push that advantage as much as they can, but I would say a 2k gold advantage, while it's okay at 23 minutes, it's not quite there to really be able to snowball an advantage.
Especially when we know that there's pretty game-defining moments here that can come through from carries of both teams. Quiet is huge. Blaze is in a decent position despite losing a lot of CS. Eminem is still the core carry, right? Like every game of Frank Esports, it feels like I'm repeating the same story. They play towards this AD. They play towards this man who's on the Kai'Sa this time around. He's keeping track in items. In fact, almost beating here as he gets towards his third. And Eminem in a team that is going to be looking towards Kurt to hit ultimates, Cataclysm from Hollow, a Pretender for Roots. There is a lot that he can do if he's able to position right.
Yeah, and the double Frozen Heart is going to be a massive power spike here for the side of Frank Esports, given how there's a lot of physical damage and a couple of champions that do like to use that extra attack speed. Getting the extra energy from that Lee Sin passive really helpful in order to get those extra. That's a W without the extra AP coming in from the Mythic. So starting to already hurt with, of course, the Man Immune passive or the Muramana passive. So that'll be something to watch out coming into this next fight. Just the siege power.
Now keep an eye on Kurt's Mega Narbar as well as he's in the back line. He has an angle if Impunity over push mid, but right now it is mid contention that they're fighting for as Quiet with the flourish again. Wants to make his way in. That Force Duet down. And now walking in, base setting the engage. Everfrost, the flash burn immediately. Pinway only finds one, but it's a good one on Hollow who buys time. The hero's entrance in. The shield grab, but Kurt with his ulti into the backline. May have set it up, but Eminem is by himself.
Oh, no.
No one there to help him out. He survives for now. Somehow Pinway goes down, but Impunity still got their litter of the fight. 2 versus 1 in the kill score, and Impunity forget Dragon rather. They're not forgetting Baron.
Yeah, and it looks like for the side of Frank Esports, they're going to try and secure this Dragon while it's all going on, but Quiet!
Yeah, he can 1v3 this, of course he can. Kurt means nothing in Mini Nah. Here with a shield bow. Quiet sets it up, and Faith spikes it down. Kurt's about to go Mega Nah, but doesn't matter when Quiet's on the rift. Impunity in this game showing their true colors.
Oh my lord, Quiet just popping off in that or 2v3 moment around that dragon, and it will be Baron also secured by the side of Impunity. This is the breaking point for this composition. They found that one big fight. They're also going to be to secure this dragon, which is insanely important as well, to delay that Dragon Soul coming in from Frank Esports. And now Frank Esports, like, you've hit your item breakpoints now, but is it enough to overcome the gold deficit? That's really hard to say as we get to see the replay. Hollow does a good job with his stopwatch, being able to dodge out on a decent chunk of the wombo, and Kurt gets a great ultimate, but you can see the carries are split. Like, Pretender, he's playing in a very different direction than Eminem, so they just immediately collapse onto Eminem, and now we get to see this a 1 or 2v3, kind of 1v3 display. Faith does come in to help out a little bit, but you can see the amount of healing that you get from Shield Bolt and Blade and Rune King. It's why, like, if you're able to get auto attacks in these fights, it's just a better build for the most part, as long as you're able to get auto attacks off.
Yeah, I mean, quite, like, no doubt that he's easily taken a 1v3 there. His confidence is beautiful. Now's a stopwatch. And he has a Death Dance outright, you're right. And I was noticing in that last fight, it's so unfortunate that Eminem was in the backline by himself. This Kai'Sa, who sold the Serrated Dirk to get an earlier Luden's Echo, it just didn't quite hit it. And just for anyone out there wondering, quite common to see the Serrated Dirk never upgraded, as Kai'Sas want that early Q upgrade, picked up earlier in the game as well. The full AP build coming into fruition. You asked whether it was going to be the Crown or the Ludens. We get a bit more explosive burst damage. As Quiet's ulted back into the turret. Frank Esports want to continue this play, but Pinway is set up with the Grand Entrance once again. Hollow caught out, and Frank Esports, it seems to be the last 15 minutes of them just getting caught with fights they don't want to take.
Yeah, and this is the issue with playing Kai'Sa in that bottom lane, is the fact that you don't get the levels, and it looks like they're just trying to end here for Impunity.
And they're running forward. They got a Baron buff. They're feeling strong, and White is a level 16 Aurelia. Of course they want to charge on in, but they've broken the inhibitor. Bottom lane is completely destroyed.
Can they chase?
Frank Esports at that as well. An 8k gold lead. Eminem's going in. He tries on Taco, but Taco's got a lot of shit.
They're going to hurt.
Blaze takes the next one, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Blaze has ulti and heal and flash. It doesn't matter. Frank Esports can't catch up to this, and there's nothing they can do to find a pick on the back end.
They were able to get that last boulder, perhaps they could just continue to poke them down while Impunity tried to retreat, but unable to snag anything on the back end. And yeah, now you've hit your item breakpoints for the side of Frank Esports, but it feels like the game's just gotten a little bit too far away from you, and that's really the drawback of playing the Kai'Sa down in that bot lane, even in the mid lane, is that you just lose a lot of resource. Like, you don't get to fight around a lot of these earlier mid-game fights because your Kai'Sa hasn't come online. And she's not really a real champion until she hits 3 items. And like, it's great if you're able to get there. And she really hurts. But does she hurt enough? I don't know.
Not at this point, not unless she gets a bit of time, and Eminem, look, hasn't had time in these fights. Faith has been pretty strict here in this game too, and we know that Impunity, this has just been a game of bullying down Kurt, making him non-existent, getting quite to a great position, but he's caught out even in front of 4 people as he buys time. It's going to require a lot. Hero's entrance from Faith, it's on cooldown. A big shutdown, you're right, it is massive to delay the game. Plays with a good dodge, but K2, the dredge line into the wall. Unfortunate here. He goes golden as Kurt's about to go Mega. Impunity still have the damage to win the wall, finish it off. Wait for the killer instinct from Eminem, but into the backside. Blaze hits up with the Feather Storm. Pinway getting burst down. The support low, but the Blade Call are good. But finally, Kurt gets the hold of his dreams. The hero's entrance in, as it's only Taco and Faith. Frank Esports with the numbers advantage, and Eminem is still alive. That's all it takes. The minions might be at the base, but Frank Esports have won a fight.
Hysterics, I was talking about, is it going to be enough, and does he hurt enough? And I think we got our answer there. I believe it was a quadra kill for Eminem there, and this is why AP Kai'Sa is such a terror right? You hit a couple of those W's and all of a sudden they have no choice but to run. And Impunity unable to disengage fully, and it was just such a great fight coming in from FAK Esports. I can't wait to see the replay. As here we go. K2 missing this hook seems a little bit silly there, but able to buy a lot of time, right? For the side of Impunity, they're interested in trying to secure that kill, so they overstay their welcome. And Pinway, like, that's a lot of damage coming in from a long range, and a great Mega Gnar from Kurt. While he's been put very far behind on this champion, when he's given the opportunity to land Mega Gnar ultimates, he's done them to great effect.
Tucker did next to nothing in that fight. God, watching the Lee Sin decide when to go on in. And the ace coming through means that FAK Esports catch back up on some of that gold. It was about a 10k gold lead before. Impunity were crashing into the base. Top wave was next, but Quiet got caught out. Then Impunity doubled down. It all came together, and look at Eminem's items. I know that's what you got to be looking at here.
Yeah.
It's a Shadow Flame picked up. It's a needlessly large.
He just spiked,
turning into a void stuff.
He spiked from 3 items and a large rod to a full build.
Yep.
That
just
is
like
an
that.
outrageous amount of gold he just got himself. Now, he also has the ability to kind of check these bushes for his team because of the W, but they are starting out the Baron a little bit lower damage.
He's got Mega Gnar, he's got a TP in here. I'm kind of worried here because the Mega, as it comes through, it's all about the timing here, but Baron's going down, W hits it.
Oh!
The steal from Hollow. FAK Esports still in this one as Kurt will threaten them.
We gotta get out.
Press through. Taco here against the wall. Ult used to disengage.
They gotta
the
run.
Realm Warp as well. Eminem's in, and now he disappears. Faced with the Predator. Wants
Pinway.
K2, but look at that. Eminem hitting these W's. Faith is up next. Why is he going in front of a Kaiser? He's turned golden, but Eminem right next to him again, trying to kite this one out. Next up is Pinway. FAK Esports, the Vanguard's edge on the 80 carry, the Hero's entrance as well. They're onto him. He's got no defensive items. It all plays out. Impunity play the long con.
Oh, and that's 3 down. Yes, you've got Baron buff, but you still lose out on quite a bit. Kurt, why are you pushing out like this?
Okay, he wants the minion wave not to crash into the base. This is a good play from Kurt. He's delaying Impunity with the push with such long death timers. I think Kurt's actually probably just saved the game.
You still have Baron minions, so Baron minions are going to help cull this wave, and they're not going to have enough. Taco's trying to tank up what he can, but they only have 1 minion left in that wave. So actually, Kurt brings a really key clutch play to save that minion wave and allow these respawn timers to come back up here. And once we get to see the replay, you do see Eminem ends up getting a little bit too tantalized by the amount of kills that he could have possibly gotten, and overstays his welcome. It seems like overstaying for kills has been kind of the name of the game in this particular game.
Oh, it has. There's been a lot of back and forth in that regard. And just kind of surprised to see FAK Esports sitting where they're sitting, where it was Impunity controlling tempo for the past 20 minutes. And then it all comes down to one flip play, and once again, we're back on the other side of things. And, you know, we kind of got to look at what the comps do at this point, because there's a lot of all-in potential we've seen. Kurt starting to make work here with the ultimate, but we haven't seen it all set up in, you know, a pure 5v5, right? It's been Impunity pushing in the side lane, then caught out. It's been FAK Esports running for their lives and the huge chase from Impunity that catches them. It's never been a 5v5 in front of the objective, which is just plain and simple.
Yeah, and if it's a slow approach to the 5v5, I definitely think that FAK Esports have the advantage because of the one champion that has range in this game is the AP Kai'Sa. So she can do so much work in that regard. But if the fight happens really quickly, Impunity certainly have the advantage when it comes to those kinds of fights, just because you're not going to build up Gnar bar fast enough in those situations, and the Kai'Sa needs to have a couple of those W's land before the all-in does occur. So it really just comes to the speed of the fight. Does it start quickly, or does it play out a little bit slower? But Hysterix, back-to-back games, we've had Baron steals.
True. It's been a doozy today. Like, our Baron steal from Holo keeps the game going. Despite the almost near ace there afterwards, it keeps it so if Frank Esports are able to defend their base, wait until this inhibitor respawns, and Impunity still haven't found a way in. But what's important right now is that Dragon's spawning shortly, and Impunity are on Soul Point. You already talked about it. Frank Esports need to land some of the poke from M&M. If Impunity get on top of him, then it's all over. He has no defensive items. He might have his flash, but Impunity have so much gap close here on this composition. I'd be scared as Frank Esports are running in, even with a Mega Gnar. Still have to be wary as Dragon spawns.
Oh, they might have found a catch-up.
Well, Pinway might go down, but Dragon's already done. There's Soul, thank you so much, but Pinway's out.
They're stuck
He's
over
out
the
the
wall.
Hero's entrance right in the pit. The Cataclysm from Holo into the backline. M&M gets a resurrection here onto the jungler, but immediately Frank Esports are playing with range once again. Faith blocking up, and that's the Soul. Nice and dandy, with Impunity only losing support.
Impunity secure themselves the Soul, and really nicely played coming in from Taco. Jumping over the wall, kicks M&M essentially out of the fight, unable to put more damage over that dragon wall, and Impunity are able to fully disengage. Unfortunately, they don't trade the kill out onto Holo, but we get to see the replay. Everyone's going into the Baron pit, but you can see the carries on the side of Frank Esports. They're really split from this fight, and Taco, he makes his final play by kicking M&M and getting back to his team. So ends up being a Dragon for support trade, and if you're the side of Impunity, you really need this Dragon Soul to give you that extra bit of scaling edge.
I think you need to kind of ask yourself, like, how do Frank Esports now deal with a Hextech Soul on champions like Aurelia, Galio as well? Like, think about the ability haste that we get, the slow as well on attack. When this comp wants to chase you down, Impunity have a Soul that benefit them so much.
Yeah, and if M&M ever gets tagged by the Hextech charge, then he's pretty much a dead man, because the slow is going to be absolutely lethal for him. And now he's actually swapped out the Shadow Flame for the Death Cap. So he's still upgrading his items. This is pretty much going to be peak, unless if he goes ahead swaps. I don't even know if you can swap the boots out, because you need something that gives you attack speed. Otherwise, you're going to un-upgrade your attack speed or your E in that regard.
That's true. You know, the E evolve, you made a valiant point, pretty important. So for M&M, let's just see where he goes. For now, though, his W's landing is everything for the resets. Remember, it's 2 seconds if he lands W like that every time. Here we go again. Buddha Blaze again. 3 for 3. Blaze, get out of the way.
The issue is you can't even block that ability, because if you block the ability, if you're a tank, then you just get it. You give M&M another opportunity to just fire another missile anyway. So that's the issue playing against the AP Kaisa, is like you can't even block skill shots, because it means that she gets to chuck more skill shots, and these start hurting tanks as well because of the extra proc on the passive. Like, it is just ridiculous how much damage we're going to see come out from him in the damage charts at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, already you can see, like, it forces out laners. If it hits Blaze twice, he almost dies. If it hits Pinway, I guarantee you those 2 shots would kill him.
Yes.
So we're at a point where Impunity are paying a lot of respect to the Frank Esports AD carry, but it is all about them hitting, and we know that that's one very specific condition. But now Impunity are confident enough in front of the Baron with the Soul in their back pocket. They've cleared away some of the vision as well. Frank Esports having to walk towards them, kind of like a dream for this team.
Yeah, and so the other thing is the AP Kaisa really makes a lot of the itemization kind of irrelevant coming in from the side of Impunity, but they're going to start out the Baron. They have to force a play quickly because it benefits their composition.
But Holo needs a steal. Can he do it once again? 3K into the back of Pete. Needs to get them to kick immediately. Nice from Taco. The Hero's entrance here from the mid lane of Faith has done it for the M there. Kurt needs to go Mega Gnar, though. Hits 2 into the wall. Hollow again with the Cataclysm on the backline, getting low. Eminem from a flank, but he needs to start hitting more abilities onto Faith. He does exactly that. Buying time as Eminem goes to the backline. Tysa wants to carry. I'm pasting the M&Ms in this game. Frank Esports 80 carry. Flushes into them though. Oh no, I could sense it, but Impunity deny it.
Oh, it was so close, but again, the fight just happened way too fast for the AP Kaisa, and Impunity will find themselves with the win at 41 minutes, and that keeps their dreams of the 6th seed alive.
Oh, if they can get to a tiebreaker from this, they'd be cheering, because this was a hard-fought win. Impunity come back, and even though the early game was botched, the rest of it was beautiful.
Very back and forth, but unfortunately for the side of Frank Esports, I mean, you drafted a lot of scaling, but again, Kurt on this Gnar pick just not working out. You'd love to see something that scales a lot better, something like a Gangplank that you know you're still going to be playing weak side top lane, but at least you contribute a lot more to these fights than essentially an itemless Mega Gnar.
God, while we're talking a little bit about Frank Esports and the detriments of this game, as we look at the final fight here, K2 just had a horrible game on Nautilus. The amount of missed dredge lines we saw, he literally just flashed dredge lined a wall in this fight. Really unfortunate when we could see how Frank Esports were winning. Came down to Eminem, and K2, this is not the Nautilus game that we've seen in the past. It was pretty shocking, to say the least.
Yeah, we saw him perform very, very well in the Nautilus game yesterday, and this was also a first pick Nautilus, remember, as well. So they invested a lot of draft resources to get him this champion, and it really fell flat. So when it comes to Frank Esports, it's always going to be a very critical eye on the support, because they have Rebirth. Rebirth has looked good on Nautilus too. So you have these two players that essentially have the same champion pool. You're going to start whoever's going to be, the hot hand.
Yeah, I mean, again, like it puts an argument in for Rebirth after this game. It's unfortunate because what we saw was bottom lane get ahead wildly from Eminem's perspective, but we have to give props to Impunity in this game, because Impunity committed to the top side over and over. And even when they didn't make the dive, Kurt was zoned out. Kurt was threatened. Vision control was maintained by Impunity up top. It was really nice to see such a coordinated assault from Taco, Faith, and Quiet, and just doubling down. Even if Blaze and Pinway moved up there, they knew that it all came down to Quiet on the Aurelia, and he did carry. It was a big threat that Frank Esports needed committed 3+ members to take down.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the side of Frank Esports, like, weak side Gnar is just really not it. You need some resources into him, or you just need a really, really good lane phase. He got neither of those. So you always consider when you lose this hard on the Gnar that you could have gone for Ornn, you could have gone for Scion, you could have gone for Gangplank. All these champions that you can sort of blind pick as well.
Yep. And
you're just going to provide a lot more utility.
Look, it's unfortunate for Kurt, but for Frank Esports, I think overall, this win for Impunity might actually hurt Frank. Now remember, they're 7-10. Our Meta Falcon team are contesting with them for that spot. Impunity now in a good position to do exactly that. Frank Esports with this loss may have lost their security in their window to build a bridge, holding 6. It's that double elimination, that extra chance that you get with 6. And for Frank Esports, this was a desperate win that they needed.
Yeah, and their last game of the split is going to be against CFO. That's the final game of tomorrow.
A hard one.
So it's going to be a lot of pressure on them.
Sure.
Things might feel a little bit better for them after the first game, which will be Impunity taking on J-Team. And then at the very least, they'll have the picture clearer for them if they need to win that last game. But Impunity, it gives them the chance. Yes, it's against J-Team. It's going to be a very tall task to get the win against J-Team. But I mean, this is a good look for them.
It is. It really is closing towards the end of the season. Impunity, impressive with this game. And Blaze getting MVP here. You know, here on the Xayah, a bit of a quiet achiever considering that Taco came back from the game and put everything into jumpstart mode. I'm surprised as well, quiet on the Aurelia not picking it up, but I guess the solid player, when we talked about AD versus AD, the Xayah in these team fights, just as impactful as Eminem.
Yeah. I mean, surprisingly, he finishes the game 600 gold behind, but I mean, it's no surprise given how monstrous Eminem was on that AP Kaisa. But Blaze had a very solid game, and this is what Xayah can do for you in these team fights. When they're all rushing in onto you, you are able to get great impact out of that Feather Storm. You get multiple targets with the Blade Caller. You just do so much damage with the lethality build as well.
You do. It was a priority pick for a reason, right? Both these 80 carries recently have been looking at Xayah, 2-0 on each, and I'm glad that Blaze had a better game, considering that when I started casting PCS near the start of this split, I remember Blaze and Pinway being a great 2v2 lane, but one that was very viable, or liable, I should say, to mistakes. I think Blaze has improved quite a lot so far in this split. Pinway as well. Seeing him on Rakam, which is already a favorite without the Xayah, is nice again to get a bit of a rendition. So I feel like he was crucial to that game too, a bit of another quiet achiever. And for Impunity, they've got a lot of parts that I think are, developmental, right? We're looking at this team. We're looking at people like Faith as well, who has been quite solid as the split's gone on. Quiet, who's had some pretty pop-off games too. That bottom lane is great. I think there's a lot to be proud of if you're an Impunity fan. And there's a lot to look forward to, not only as they go towards playoffs, but towards the summer split as well.
Yeah, certainly a lot of things to try and build and improve upon here for the side of Impunity. And I just love Quiet in his champion pool, really showing up as a big carry here.
Yeah, agreed. Like, Quiet's champion pool is a lot of fun to watch. I was looking at Frank Esports, their champion pool in comparison to Impunity before, and Impunity have pulled out some pretty interesting ones. But seeing him on the Aurelia, that can't be beaten. Is kind of just waiting to roll forward here, because I feel like Impunity, I also realize, I know what the problem is. Our lovely producer in our ears, Nightstar. I had a problem with my setup before, and I couldn't hear him, and he's messaging me saying we could take a break. It was my fault, guys. I apologize. Game 2 done and dusted. We're going to be right back after this short break, running into J-Team versus DCG. You don't want to miss that one.